Hi, I'm pro saxophonist Jamie Anderson. You're watching Get Your Sax Together. On this week's free online saxophone lesson, you're going to learn how to get a lovely, rich, pro-sounding vibrato. If there's one thing that's really going to make your tone stand out and really sing with that human quality, it's the vibrato, but you've got to get it right. Most people use a very habitual vibrato. Most of the time they don't even know they're doing it, and at its worst it can sound like a bleating goat, which is really bad compared to the lovely, rich, warm vibrato that you can do if you just have a few tips in the right direction. That's what we're going to cover this week. But just before we do, if you haven't checked it out already, please do go and check out the old Saxophone Success Masterclass. One thing that's in there is I'll teach you exactly how to structure your practice routine so you don't waste your time. This means you'll be able to practice less and improve faster. Just use the URL below or click the link in the description. You'll get instant access to that 1 hour free video lesson. Right, let's talk about vibrato. There's a lot we can say about vibrato, but at its essence, vibrato defines genre on sax. That's right, it really defines what kind of style you're playing in. We're going to go into that a bit later, but first of all, let me say that too many people have got the same type of vibrato, which they don't even know they're doing. I call it habitual vibrato. So what we're going to try and do today is break that habitual vibrato and introduce a more conscious and very skilled vibrato that you can use knowledgeably instead of just sometimes bleating like a goat. I hate to say it, but this does sometimes happen. So basically, what is vibrato? Vibrato is changing the pitch of the note up and down rhythmically to create a pulsing effect, which sounds like the human voice. So there are several different variables to the vibrato. The first one is how deep the vibrato is. The second variable is how fast the pulses are. And the third variable, which most people don't think about, is where and when you apply the vibrato, when it comes in. Is it constant, or do you wait and then add it at the end? So all these things define style. How do you produce vibrato? Well, this is quite interesting because recently I did a video on lip bends, lip scoops, and I said not to use lip pressure to scoop up to a note. However, that is exactly what you do when you produce vibrato, because we want the pitch and the sound to be pulsing and changing and adding that richness to the tone. So the way that you practice vibrato is, in the first step, you play the note and then you drop your jaw as one unit until the pitch drops and then disappears off the cliff. So here's step one. And what will happen is that the note will disappear into wind. Now that's exactly what you want to do. So the second step is we start from just the windy noise with no pressure on the reed. You gradually bring your jaw up until the pitch comes in low, and then you increase the pressure with your lip even more until the pitch comes up to the standard pitch. So this is step two. Now after that, you can imagine what step three is. We're just going to join it up so that you dip the pitch down with your jaw pressure, and then before it disappears, you bring it back in. Now make sure that tone doesn't disappear off the end when you dip the pitch down. That is the key factor of this third step. So this is what the third step looks like. Incidentally, you can use any note you want, and you should practice on many different notes across the whole range of the saxophone. I'll try and mix it up throughout this lesson, but the note I'm playing for this lesson is almost irrelevant. Here's step three. Now, once you've got the basic grip of that vibrato technique, what we want to do is you want to get your metronome on, and then you're going to practice the pulses rhythmically in time, starting at about 60 BPM. So get your metronome 60 BPM, and you're going to go ba, Now try and remember to start on a compression. So you compress, release, compress, release, compress, release. So this is what the exercise is going to sound like. Turn the old metronome off. Okay, so once you've managed to do it one sort of wow per beat, then you do it twice as fast. So now we're going to go wow, 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 wow. Now really support the sound, really keep that tone connected to the bottom of your breath when you go down to the bottom of the pitch. Let's try that on eighth notes now. I'm still on 60 on the metronome. So another important consideration when practicing vibrato is to make sure that your valleys and peaks are very smooth and like a sine wave connected. Don't have jaggy cliffs, so don't go bow, wee, wee. It should be bow, nice and smooth, really connected to the bottom of your breath, nice and smooth. Now once you've got quite good at that, you can double it up again and go on to the 16th notes, and all the time we're just looking to get that little bit extra control. That's a little bit more advanced, moving on to the 16th notes, so make sure that you're really proficient at the 8th notes before you move on. And then you can step up your metronome 60, 65, 70, probably no faster than 75. That way, over time, you'll develop a nice, rich, smooth vibrato, which is really going to serve you well. So, what are we looking for which isn't the result we need? In other words, what do people do which doesn't really work? Well, quite often you hear what I call the bleating goat vibrato. I'm not exactly sure how people do this, but it tends to sound something like this. That's just not a pleasant sound. Definitely need to leave that one to Larry the Lamb, I think. So nice, smooth, much slower vibrato with a lot of control. That's what we're aiming for. So that's how you do the vibrato and that's how you practice it. Let's now just very quickly talk about style. I said before that vibrato defines what style you're playing. So if you're a modern player and you're Michael Brecker or something like that, you're playing a ballad, you would use quite a slow, quite a deep vibrato, and you might wait a little while before you introduce that on each note. So it might sound something like this for a more modern jazz ballad type sound. Whereas if you were playing in, say, a 1940s style, like a Glenn Miller band, you would use a fast vibrato, and it would be a constant vibrato, quite deep, quite fast, and you'd use that throughout the note, and everybody in the sax section would try and match that same vibrato. So this is an example of an old dance band style vibrato. Which obviously sounds completely different from the more modern approach. So, as you're listening to sax players from now on, what is their vibrato? Is it deep? Is it shallow? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is there a delay before it comes in? For example, some of the classic jazz players, Sonny Rollins, Charlie Parker, they do terminal vibrato. So they play a note, and right at the end of the note, they do a big wobble to kiss off the note almost. That sounds like this. It's all about being aware about what kind of vibrato you want to use in the right context to give the right style to really warm up your sound and give it that human singing quality. But remember, really connect that vibrato right to the bottom of your breath, smooth peaks and troughs, compress first, then release, and make sure that you are really supporting the sound as the pitch dips down to its lowest point. That way, you're going to get a really cracking vibrato. So that's it for this week. Another Sunday well and truly saxed up. I hope you're enjoying these videos, these more intimate videos, just me and you hanging out with me, talking to you right as if you were in a lesson with me. We covered a hell of a lot about vibrato today, so I really hope you got some great value out of the lesson today. As always, check out my Saxophone Success Masterclass if you haven't already. That is jam-packed with goodness. You're gonna really dig that. Use the URL there or the link in the description. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much if you bought me a coffee using the link in the description. I really appreciate that. You guys are so generous, so kind. You're just awesome people, so thank you very much. Until next week, hope you have a great week. Practice hard, practice smart, and as always, enjoy your music, and I'll see you then. Take it easy. Bye. So that's it. Another Sunday well and truly saxed up. Hope you enjoyed it. Just... See, I was in such a flow before, okay.